Hi, welcome to Thete Gaming, and today I'm going to look at order halls and order hall missions. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about these, of course. People really want these to be very, very different to in Warlords of Draenor. They want almost everything to be different. And the features have come in quite slowly, so there's been a lot of discussion about things that we haven't really known. But there's a lot more into the order halls now. It's a lot more fleshed out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through what is in there now and what we know so that you're basing opinions off actual facts and not misinformation. Now, in terms of getting to your order hall, used to be the case that there was an ability that would automatically teleport you there. You could use that from wherever. That's been removed now. It's probably too much of a quality of life feature. So now you can access it either by physically visiting it for the order halls that are in the world, or by going to Dalaran and finding a portal there. For demon hunters, there's a slightly more interesting way of getting there, however. Death Knights can still use the Death Gate as normal. So comparing the order hall to the garrison in Warlords of Draenor, let's look at some of the differences. First of all, there's nothing to do with professions here. There's also no mailboxes. You can't install a bank. So none of the features that you would normally associate with a city are associated with the order hall at all. It's useless for that completely. Now, the other thing Blizzard said is they have identified that people spend too long in their garrisons. Certainly true. Will people be spending a lot of time in their order halls? Not really. So let's look at what you can do in your order hall. First of all, there is a training dummy, or at least there is in most order halls. I assume there will be in all order halls once it goes live. I don't think all of them are complete yet. But there is in the Paladin order hall, as well as a few others as well. So it's a nice, quiet place to do that. Of course, you're not in there on your own. In the garrison, it's instanced to you. The order hall is not. So in the Paladin order hall, there are other Paladins there as well. So you're not completely on your own. You can also do things related to your artifact. You can skill it up, assign traits. You can change the appearance of your artifact. There are a number of skins and then recolours, it seems, at the moment. Of course, with scope for more to be added later on in the expansion. You can see here there's various achievements necessary to unlock the different appearances. On this particular one, you can see there are 4 distinct appearances with 4 different recolours of each one. I particularly like this one. I can't wait to get this one. Aside from the artifact, you can also do missions. Now, missions is the big one to talk about because this is it's one of these things. People really, anything to do with Warlords of Draenor, I think it's like some people, any feature at all that was new in Warlords of Draenor, if it's present in Legion, they're just going to go, oh, I don't like it, I don't like it. I've seen this myself. I've seen it in comments on forums. I've seen it in comments on a couple of my videos as well. This is disappointing that people will have such a view because it's not done in the same way. However, it is, in the interest of balance, necessary for to point out a few things. So if we look at what it is about missions in Warlords of Draenor people didn't like, one thing is when you were levelling up and you got your followers, and you got your followers at a reasonable rate. I actually quite like to go in and finding followers. You would then obviously get missions, so you'd send them off on missions. Now, some of these missions only lasted half an hour or maybe an hour. So you'd go back to your questing, and then literally a short time later, oh, mission done. And then you think to yourself, well, I want to level up the follower as well. And then you were thinking, do I go back to my garrison to set them off on another mission or something like that? And some people did, of course, and spent a lot of time effectively keep going back to their garrison to set the followers on a different mission. Now, I can at least say that won't be the case. The assumption I got from BlizzCon, what was said at BlizzCon, is that basically you'll only be sending followers off on missions like once a day. Now, this is not necessarily entirely true. There are missions that are as short as 4 hours. So, in theory, you could come home, log on, do that mission, and then you could still be finishing that mission and send them on another one before you stop your session, depending on how long you play in a session. At the same time, 4 hours isn't exactly going off questing and then a short time later your mission is finished. So 4 hours still represents a fairly long mission in Warlords of Draenor terms, so it's certainly a lot better and you're not going to constantly be bothered with missions completed. Next comes Followers itself. Now, there are a thing that Blizzard seem to have identified. I actually don't know whether this is genuine or just their perception, is that it's the sheer number of followers that turned people off. Because we saw this with the shipyard. With the shipyard, they made great show of the fact, okay, we're doing the shipyard, and yes, of course, it's exactly the same as a garrison mission table, and the ships are just the same as followers, you can still just send them off on missions. But they said there were far fewer of them. There were far fewer missions, and more importantly, far fewer ships to send them off. It's even less in Legion. You can have a maximum of 5 active followers. There are only, I think, 8 even obtainable, or certainly if you look at the tab that's in Legion Alpha at the moment, there are only 8 obtainable. And I didn't obtain any of these by going around the world and questing and having them join me or anything like that, which I thought was a bit of a shame. It's almost like they're trying to do a halfway house, and I'm not sure they're entirely satisfying everyone. Like, I liked picking up the followers as I leveled in Warlords of Draenor. I thought that was a good feature. Yes, the constant doing missions was not. And then there's some people who anything at all to do with missions or followers, they will just be completely turned off from. So having this only very small number of... And it's not the 5 active thing that bothers me. That's fine. That's absolutely fine, because that limits the number of missions you can be doing anyway. It's the fact there's only 8 altogether. I'll tell you what, another thing I quite liked is when you got to level cap, that there were some followers you could obtain like in dungeons or even raids, or with certain achievements getting them. That doesn't appear to be... Of course, there's time yet. I mean, it might still. But at the moment, it looks like there's just 8 followers altogether. I can only have 5 active. Now, when you're sending people on missions, it's very easy to get over 100% success rate. Any extra over the 100% is not wasted because it gives you the extra percentage chance for some bonus, whether experience or whatever. Now, in terms of what you use the missions for, you can see largely there for experience and gold, but actually there was a quest I got where you had to obtain a particular item or 5 of a particular item that you could obtain from the missions as well, so it linked in with a quest. Also, sometimes you get as a mission reward an item that starts a quest. It might send you into a dungeon or something like that, for example. I haven't seen anything yet that would be totally necessary, that gives you anything that skills up your character per se, although I don't think all the missions have been put in yet, and I think it's quite likely, if we're going to be honest, that some of these will reward things like maybe skins for the artifact or something like that. Whether you can completely leave this aspect of the game alone, I don't yet know. It is possible. Now, in terms of followers, they have another use as well. You can assign them as a combat ally. Now, here's where there might be a couple of things I'm not entirely sure about because of the nature of Alpha and how it's changed as I've had this character. But one thing that's definitely true, you can assign a follower as a combat ally, and you can see here, each of these 3 followers, for example, I can use the ability on a 3-minute cooldown, and there's different effects. Now, there is another thing. I have one of them assigned to me who, whenever I'm fighting 2 or more mobs, he comes in and fights with me. And after a short amount of time, he drops dead or of exhaustion, whatever. And then there's a several minutes before he can pop in again. Now, I can't at the moment unassign him. He's actually really annoying as well because he's a tank. And he just taunts everything for miles around. And then if he snuffs it before they're all dead, they're all going to turn on you. He's extremely annoying. I suppose it works. It's very similar to the abilities you had in Warlords of Draenor in each zone that were attached to your outposts. Except this is to do with which follower you have assigned. In terms of what you spend order resources on, because this is another important feature. Order resources, you can think of being as like garrison resources, but I actually think of being like garrison resources and Apexis crystals rolled into one. There are a number of things that you will want order resources for. The other thing to note is, I think what one of the criticisms I think could be levelled at the fact that the reason why we were in our garrison all the time is it was just too much quality of life. The quality of life feature seems to have been eradicated, especially with order halls. Like garrison resources, if you do nothing at all, you will acquire garrison resources just naturally. You go to your cache, you pick them up. There's like a maximum of 500 or like 1,000 if you get the item from Tanan Jungle. That is absent in Legion. There's no sign of any order resources that you just naturally tick up. If you don't do anything to get them, you won't get any. So where do you get them for? The usual thing, you can get them from finding treasures. You can get them from doing world quests, world objectives. You might get them from quest rewards. Now, what do you spend them on? You spend them on missions, as you would in Warlords of Draenor. So to send people on a mission, it costs a certain number of garrison resources. Oh my god, order resources, I apologise. Other things you can use your order resources on. You can use them on obtaining some what's called squires. These are like short-term followers. These don't count towards your 5 total. You can use order resources to get them, and you can send them on missions as well. They'll have various abilities, of course not as powerful as your actual followers. You can also spend order resources on gear. There is a quartermaster in your order hall who has some decent quality gear. There are gates to when you can obtain it. It's not simply having enough order resources and you just buy the gear. There are various achievements or quests you have to complete to be able to obtain each piece. There is a set bonus when you've got a fair amount of it. I think at least a 6-part set bonus. You can also obtain, these things can be upgraded, and it costs order resources to buy the items to upgrade the armor as well. You can also spend order resources on improving your garrison. There are various features of your do you know what, I keep calling it garrison and I mean order hall. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Of your order hall. So you can, for example, research things that will make you better at missions. And you go down, you see this particular NPC, and in each tier you can select one. You get a choice of 1 out of 2. It costs order resources to select that one. It takes a certain amount of time to research it, and then you've got that property for your order hall. And for most of them it relates to missions. But you'll notice one right down at the bottom. Once you put one in each tier, right down at the bottom there's one you can research. It's going to cost a lot of order resources to get that far. That will allow you to wear an extra legendary. Now, I've got a legendary video coming out as well. If it's out already, I'll put an annotation just there for it. You're limited to 1 legendary. You can obtain quite a few of them, but you can only wear 1 at a time. This particular feature will allow you to wear 2, and so that could be quite powerful as well. And a lot of this stuff is going to take a long time to do, so it's not the sort of stuff you're going to have all done and dusted within a few weeks, as was the case with garrison resources and Apexis crystals in Warlords of Draenor for most people. In fact, some of these upgrades, when you spend your order resources, it actually takes some considerable amount of time before they come through, up to a couple of weeks. And then right down at the bottom, there is something that allows you to wear an extra legendary. Now, at the moment, testing in alpha, you can only actually wear 1 legendary. We can buy them all from a vendor at the moment. Obviously, we're going to have to find them when it goes live. But you can only wear 1 at a time. This one would allow you to wear up to 2. But it'll take a long time and a lot of garrison resources before you'll be able to get that, because you've got to complete every tier along the way before you can actually pick that one up. In amongst the various quests that you can get in your order hall to advance your campaign, which is very important for various achievements that you need to be able to get the various things from your order hall. One important quest is to go out and find 4 tomes, research tomes. One of this, you just go to Booty Bay and buy it from a vendor. It doesn't cost that much. One of them you just go to Scarlet Monastery, of course easily soloable at this level, more than enough, and you pick the book up from there. But 2 others you need to do in dungeons in the new content, one of which is level cap content, so you won't be getting this as you level up. And you turn that in, and it allows you to spend more order resources on a work order that will allow you to increase the rate at which you get artifact power. Now that is going to be really important for skilling up your artifact. It's still not absolutely set in stone how quickly this will happen, but as things are at the moment, it would take a long old time to get all of the traits unlocked on your artifact weapon. Finally, there are a few quality of life features. In the Paladin Order Hall, there are tomes that you can pick up. You can only pick up one, and it can have various features like be able to instantly res you if you die out in the world, or increase your movement speed out in the Broken Isles, or even have demons and undead show up on your minimap. The Paladin Order Hall is the only one I've advanced to any sort of level, so it is quite probable that there are similar ones also waiting in the other Order Halls as well. Perhaps it's the same sort of features, perhaps other ones, perhaps ones more in tune with that particular class. So that's what I know about Order Halls so far from what I've actually seen myself. If you found it useful, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. If you think it'd be useful for other people you know, feel free to share it. And if you've got any specific questions, put them in the comments below. I'll see what I can do. And until next time, I'll see you later.